confidence. Please join me in giving an enthusiastic welcome to Dr. Bob Hurley.
Thanks for that great introduction, Donna. And thanks to you all for being here to talk about trust. Did you think when we advertised this that this was a trust fund, is why you were all here? And thanks to the Gabelli School for promoting this, and to, where's Nicole Biswaldo, for organizing this whole thing. I really appreciate it. So let me start by actually building a little trust, by explaining to you that we have a plan about how to conduct this conversation. It builds trust when we have a plan and we can execute a plan. So I'd like to start by defining trust. Then I'd like to talk a little bit about why trust has declined. Then I'd like to offer a three-part solution on how to enhance trust. And then Q&A, lots of conversation about trust and how we build trust. Fair enough? So Donna talked about the decline of trust. This picture appeared in a Wall Street Journal article that I wrote at the end of October of this year. And it actually helps us define trust. You'll notice that this lion tamer is in a precarious position. There's lots of vulnerability. But yet, the lion tamer is standing very confidently, and actually, if you look carefully, the lion tamer is smiling. This lion tamer has confident reliance on the lion. That's how I define trust. We trust someone when we have confident reliance that they will serve our interests even in a risky situation. And we distrust people when we don't have that comfort, that confident reliance, that they will act appropriately to serve our interests. Now, let me depict actually the data that Donna just talked about. This is data on confidence in Congress. And the way this question is asked is, what I'm going to show you is the percent of people who say they have a great deal of confidence in Congress. And the trend is actually quite disturbing. And right now, we're actually, the most recent data is we're below 10% of people who say they have confidence in Congress. Well, let's look at business. Is it any better? Well, it's a little better, but still, about 15% of people say they have confidence in business. We have a significant trust problem. Now, why the decline? Let me offer just some thoughts for you to think about in terms of why trust has declined. First is a generational issue. The picture that you see up here is a picture from what Brokaw called the Great Generation. These people came together and overcame World War II and the Great Depression. They came together, they had a sense of community, many people were involved, right? And they were able to overcome adversity. That gave them a sense of optimism and faith that if we come together, we can solve important problems. Unfortunately, every generation since, that optimism and that faith, that trust has declined. Another reason is more risk, more uncertainty, a shrinking pie. It's particularly true today with the job situation and whatnot. It's interesting, I saw today that the Time Magazine's Man of the Year, Person of the Year, is the protester. Another reason for decline of trust is what I call extreme capitalism, that emphasizes short-termism, opportunism, get in, get yours, and get out, versus sustainability, long-term, and benevolence, care for other people. Also, a shortage of trustworthy leaders and organizations. And let me make a point here. Russell Hardin argues that we actually don't have a trust problem, we have a trustworthiness problem. I think he's right. Now, why do we say that? Think about this. People offer trust when they assess that somebody, a person, group, or organization is trustworthy. They have low trust. That's the problem we have right now. But fortunately, it's actually a problem that we can solve. Now, before I get to the solution here, let me just talk a little bit about what happens when trust is low. What happens when trust declines? And think about it. Less than 10% of people trust Congress. Less than 15% of people trust business. We are at a very, very low point. And you may say, all right, so what? It's a buyer beware market. Do your due diligence. Be careful. Be vigilant. You can still exchange, right? By the way, you can actually exchange with people you don't trust. The military does this. They work with double agents. Right? Now, by the way, think of this. How would you work with a double agent? Very carefully. Right? So when trust is low, things are slower, there's less cooperation, there's higher turnover in employees, there's higher monitoring costs, there's lower profits, there's less information sharing, and there's less innovation. Low trust prevents companies and nations from making progress. Right? Think about it. Organizations are about cooperation, about partnering to create value. When trust is low, that breaks down. Now, I don't want to depress you. I want to actually lift you up a little bit, and I want to offer actually some solutions. And that's what I'd like to, most of this talk to be about. What can we do about this? What can we personally, individually do about this? So let me suggest 3 solutions. First, we need to become better trustors, better trust decision makers. Why? Because we need to actually withhold trust from people that are untrustworthy, from companies that are untrustworthy. Otherwise, we need to shrink the market for the untrustworthy. And if we're naive trusters, we won't do that. We actually create an incentive to be duped. Right? So we need to get smarter about making trust decisions. Second thing we need to do is we need to develop more trustworthy leaders. And I think we can actually do that.